Hey everyone, Jay here, and welcome to another Intro to Python lab. This is lab 7, and we need to do a little bit of maintenance in our lab so that we can get from what we know so far into the next stuff. So what we have so far are we can create some variables to store values for us. We can manipulate those variables by adding numbers or doing math or changing strings of characters, right? And we can output text to the screen, okay? Very useful, but in order to get a little bit more advanced in what's coming next, we need to be able to get input from the user. Okay, up until now, we haven't gotten any input from the user. We've only just created variables with values already in them. And we're still going to have to do that, right? You can't get input from the user unless you have a place to put that input. So we still need variables to hold those informations, right? But we're going to create those here, and then we're going to ask the user for information. We'll do much more advanced stuff with input later, but for now, we just need to be able to get some input. Okay, so this lab, we're going to create 4 variables so we can practice and do this 4 times. We're going to create a string called name input, a number called age input, a number called number input, and a number called color input. So we're going to ask the user for their name, their age, pick a number, and what's your favorite color. Okay, and then we're going to take that information and output it. So I'm doing this one after another, right? Kind of the way I told you not to do it last time, but that's okay. I want to make sure I get all of this on the screen here. There we go. Okay, so first one with the name input, this is how we're going to get input from the user. This line right here, okay? And we're going to, we've already created name input variable. We've made it empty. So now we're going to say now name input equals our input from the user. And how do we do that? Is we use the input function. It's built into Python. We're not creating it. Okay, so input, we have our parentheses. This is how we use functions, right? And the argument that we give it is going to be what we prompt the user for. That's why I'm calling this lab prompt for input. You can't just leave a blank and expect the user to know what to input. We need a very good human readable descriptive prompt for the user. So this one is, what is your name? Question mark. Leave a space at these because as you'll see, they're going to type immediately afterwards. So if you don't leave a space, they're going to be typing like right up next to your end of your sentence, and it's not going to look super great. So we say, what is your name? And then when they'll type their name in and they'll hit enter, that value, whatever they typed, goes into input. So some things that we have to be aware of going forward, now that we get input from the user, we've done it once, sort of, right? I have the code here. You can never trust input from the user. You don't know if the user knows what they're doing. You don't know if they're trying to hack you. You don't know if a cat walked across the keyboard. Okay, you can't trust input from the user. For now, we're going to, because it's just you and me putting input on here, but later we'll get a little bit more advanced and we'll learn some things that you can do to protect yourself if you're expecting a number and somebody types in letters and you immediately start doing math with that value, bad things are going to happen, right? If you expect a word and somebody types in numbers, well, you're just going to have weird output, right? But if you're expecting one thing in general and the user inputs something else, then you need to know how to handle that properly. Okay, we'll do that later. For now, we're just going to get input and we're going to assume that the user knows what they're doing. Very bad. The user can't be trusted ever, but we are today. All right, so now we have that, right? Because we're trusting that this input is correct because you and I know what we're doing. So I've said, hey, what is your name? They typed it in. In my case, I'll just type in J, right? And that will get put into name input. Now we have that variable. We can start doing stuff with it. So immediately what I'm going to do is print this line here. Hello, curly brace. Nice to meet you. And I'm going to format to put my name input value into the curly brace. Okay, so no matter what I type for that, whatever goes into that variable will then get input into there. It'll say, hello, Jay, nice to meet you. Okay, and I have basically the same kind of text we had from our previous lab number 6, where we're working with strings and variables. So now, last time we output strings of our own choosing. This time we're going to output strings of partially of the user's choosing. Okay, and we're just going to do this a few times. So what is your name? Hello, name. Nice to meet you. And then the next one, we have age input equals, this time I am forcing it to be an integer. Okay, that means if you type in a letter, okay, it's actually going to, well, I guess we'll see what it does. Okay, this is one of the things that we can do, but it's a very early thing we can do to prevent getting getting words instead of numbers when we expect them. But the thing is here, if you want a number ever, this isn't going to protect you from the user typing in a letter, because if I type in a letter as the user and then I try to turn it into a number, it's going to cause problems. But what it will do, if I type in a number, it will actually turn that number, instead of a string with a number in it, will actually be an actual number value that you can do math with, because the computer, every single thing the user types into the input is just strings of characters. Those characters could be numbers, but they're strings of characters. Okay, so if the user types in 99, the computer thinks it's the string 99. Doing this, putting that int in there and casting it as an actual int, okay, will turn it into an integer. And in our case, the question is, how old are you? Hopefully they type in an integer. Okay, if it's a little kid, you might say 4.5, not an integer, but that's not their real age, because if they had a driver's license or if they had any other paperwork, it wouldn't have an half, right? And then we're going to print the message, congrats on this number of trips around the sun. And we can also do congrats, and we can do the person's name, right? Name input. Okay, so we can say congrats, your name, on however many trips around the sun, however old you are. Okay, so if you're 20, you've been around the sun 20 times, right? So now we're putting 2 variables in here. Make sure you get this format and you put your variables in the correct order of where they appear in your string. Oh, my head's in the way here. There we go. There. Now my head's not in the way. Make sure you get these variables in the right order. If you don't get them in the right order, they can be numbered in here. You can put a number. So I can put 0 and 1. I think it's 0 and 1. Could be 1 and 2. We'll have to try and see. Okay. Oftentimes in programming, if you don't remember exactly what you're supposed to type in here, you just try it and then fix it. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, next one, and that's an integer. Next one is a number. Pick a number between 1 and 9. And so they're going to type that number in, and then we're going to go, great. Whatever number that is a good choice. I don't care what number it is. They're all good choices, right? We're just taking some input and then doing some generic outputs using that variable in there. So we're just practicing that 4 times. And then last, what is your favorite color? And they're going to type in any color they want. Okay. And then we're going to output, wow, whatever color that is a wonderful choice. Remember to format your strings properly. So far, if you get the first one right, you can copy and paste 3 more times, change the variables, change the text. Don't forget to put int on the integer ones so that we have numbers. Although for this purpose, since we're not actually doing math, your program will work just fine either way. It will run because we're not doing math. We're just doing string character operations. Okay. So I have some output in my output screen already. I'm going to clear it and I'm going to run it. And then I'm going to move my screen to show you the output. Okay. So it says, what is your name? Jay. Hello, Jay. Nice to meet you. How old are you? Today I'm 41. Not my birthday, just mean at the time of making this video. Congrats, Jay, on 41 trips around the sun. Pick a number between 1 and 9. 2. Great. 2 is a good choice. What is your favorite color? Green. Wow. Green is a wonderful color choice. And that's the end of our program. And you see that we didn't have any errors. So when I put that 0 and 1 up in my string before, I got it right on the first try. Okay. It could have been 1 and 2. I couldn't exactly remember. And that's okay. Because if it didn't work, I can just go back and fix it. All right. Okay, so this is your lab number 7. You're going to write down, let me show you the code one more time. Okay. Don't forget to have your shebang at the top, followed by your comment at the top that tells your name and your class and the assignment name and everything, right? And then you're going to create these 4 variables, and then you're going to get some input from the user, followed by some output to the user. Okay. So copy all of this down exactly, and then submit that for your lab. Okay. And well, that's it. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.